And just a housekeeping reminder, please mute yourself. I see a couple people not muted. And if you're calling in, you can use the mute function on your phone, or you can hit *6 and that will mute you. And then you can hit *6 again to unmute if you'd like to speak. Alrighty, hopefully we get to quorum very soon. Just, Anya, we're all ready to go. Live streaming, doing our thing. Great. Hi, everyone. This meeting of Brooklyn Community Board 14 is called to order on Monday, May 9th, 2022 at 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, under the applicable statutes of New York State, the Charter of New York City, the board's bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order. The board's policy is to encourage detailed public discussion of matters before the board at our committee meetings and at public hearings. Consequently, except by board members, there will be no public discussion at our regular monthly meeting of matters about which a public hearing or committee meeting has been held. Specific service delivery requests or complaints should be brought to the attention of the district's office staff by calling the board office during regular business hours or by visiting our website anytime. Other matters of civic interest may be brought before the board during our scheduled public comment period, which will begin tonight after all other business on the board's monthly meeting agenda has been concluded. No partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit enterprises will be heard. Persons wishing to speak during the public comment period were asked to pre-register. Tonight, attendance will be taken from the participant list.
And quorum is confirmed, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the minutes. Was any corrections submitted to the board office? Okay. Do I have any corrections to the minutes from the floor? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to
The only correction I think is that I was on the phone at the last meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. We'll make the corrections to add you to the attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We were.
Seconds.
Thank you very much. We'll vote in the reverse order. Any board members wish to vote no to approving these minutes? Does anyone wish to abstain from voting? And is anyone ineligible to vote? Seeing none, the minutes pass unanimously. Moving on to the district manager's report. District Manager Sean Campbell, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Two quick announcements. I spoke with representatives from National Grid today, and they are in the final phase of gas line inspections, which they're required to do by law. Our community did pretty darn well. There's only 14 outstanding residents, 400, still a good number, outstanding residents. And they have asked for some assistance in getting the word out that these are legitimate inspections. They are mandated by law. If anybody has any concerns and worries about setting up that appointment, you can call our office. I've shared this information with the 70th Police Precinct in case they get calls. Their homeowners and property owners are subject to fines and gas shutoffs if they don't get the inspections done. So I told them I'd help get that word out. And again, call the office should you have any questions about any National Grid notices for your gas line inspections. Also, just looking ahead a little bit, the Department of Sanitation is restoring the full street sweeping schedule. So you might recall that they had gone from the 2 day a week to 1 day a week in some parts of the district, and they're back to 2 days a week in those parts of the district where it had been limited, beginning in early July. July 5th is the go date on that. Please do remember still that property owners are responsible for your own, for cleaning the sidewalks and for 18 inches into the street from the curb line. The brooms are supplemental services, so please pick up on the sidewalk and then the curb. Then just a quick fun fact, brooms pick up a few thousand pounds of litter and debris a day. So it's an important public health and environmental justice provision by the city of New York. Any questions on that? We'll post something on our website for that. And I'll put the National Grid stuff in the chat, and also we'll get something, the information for that posted on the website as well. Thanks very much. And
So a cool question. I remember a few years ago we had a lot of these. The streets are being redone, and they went into my house. National Grid. Is this related to that, or is this separate from that? This inspection, meaning, like I remember over
It's
the last
separate.
5 years, they've been doing a lot of this re-gas lines. I don't know what to call it. You know.
mhm. Yeah, they've done some capacity and state of good repair projects around the district. This is different.
But this is different. Okay.
Yeah, this is a local law that went into effect a couple of years ago. It's not local law 52. I dropped it in the link and I can get you the number, but it is a separate law that just requires an inspection of gas lines in order to avoid a disrepair that results in an explosion.
Um,
Glenn,
I'm sorry, Madam Chairperson, Joe Dweck.
okay, go ahead. People are raising their hands, so if you have a
Sorry.
question in the future, raise your hand. Go ahead,
I
Joe.
apologize. I just a clarification about the sweeping. Does that mean that we're going to, the signs for 2 days of no parking, is that back in effect that rather than 1 day?
Yes,
Thank you.
exactamundo. What's up, Glenn?
There you go.
Just wondering, maybe I missed it, but did you say what the deadline was for getting these gas line inspections?
There's no hard deadline. If you have a notice that you have to make an appointment, you should make the appointment. I'm supposed to be receiving a list of addresses by the end of this week. And then I'll work with the elected officials who cover those addresses to continue to get the word out. So, and if they do set up a hard deadline, we'll add it to the website.
Well, that's kind of important. If they're going to talk about fines, people should know, by which date they have to take care of this. I was under the
I
impression.
think, Lynn, their interest is getting the inspections done, not levying the fines.
I understand that. I'm under the impression it's till the end of the year, but I could be mistaken. All right, thank you.
Seeing no other hands, thank you very much, District Manager Sean Campbell. I just want to acknowledge the elected officials and representatives of local elected officials in no particular order. I want to welcome Nancy Lulu from DA Eric Gonzalez's office. We have Eileen Mullaney Newman from the Brooklyn Borough President's office, Joel Ducivet from Councilmember Rita Joseph's office, Lisa Derrick from Assemblymember Bichot Hermelin's office, Sabrina DeJuice from Councilmember Farrell Lewis's office, Pinkas Hyken from Comptroller Lander's office, Hassan Chowdhury also from Brooklyn Borough President's office, David Lewis from New York City Mayor's office. I want to acknowledge that we have Police Officer Michael Joseph on the call from the 17th Precinct. I also see that Deputy Inspector Saporano from the 17th Precinct has joined us. Deputy Inspector, did you want to address this assembly?
Hi, I'm just here to say hello and just, if anybody doesn't know who I am, I'm Deputy Inspector Bruce Saporano. I'm here a month already. I can't believe a month has flown by so fast. But, I'm having a great time, meeting everybody, and I'm here if anybody has any questions for me. But thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I also want to recognize that Mr. Ed Powell is here, who is the president of the 17th Precinct Community Council. Thank you for being here. He's also a board member. Just checking to see if I missed anyone. Thank you for being patient. Right, looking very good. Great. Moving on to the chair's report. Good evening, board members. I hope all those who fasted had a joyous Eid al-Fitr. Happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers of children, animals, plants, and those who are mothers of invention. The first item from my report is the Borough Board report. The Borough Board met on Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. The board received a presentation from the Department of Youth and Community Development, also known as DCYD. A portion of this presentation was dedicated to the Neighborhood Advisory Boards, also known as NABs or NABs, which provide residents of communities with an opportunity to help DCYD identify funding priorities. Each NAB serves their neighborhood development area, and DCYD takes their findings into consideration when allocating federal community service block grant funding. Community Board 14 has 9 members sitting on our NAB. We currently have 3 vacant seats. Applications for membership are accepted on a rolling basis. NAB members must, 1, be full-time residents of the neighborhood development area they represent, have lived in the neighborhood for a minimum of 6 months, be at least 16 years of age, and have no formal associations with any organization that receives DCYCD funding under the block grant program. 6 members may be selected by DYCD, and 6 members may be nominated by elected public officials. Residents who are interested in joining a NAB and playing an important role in their community should complete an application or contact DCYD's Community Connect by phone. I'm going to go ahead and just drop that link in the chat so that if anyone is interested in applying, you can do so by following this link. I would love to see us have a full board of 12. Here's your link. Let's see who else. I'm just looking for one person who's germane to my next part of the report. I'm not seeing that person as of yet. Okay. I'm gonna move on. The next item in my report is the appointment of 2 public members to the Transportation Committee. So on behalf of the co-chairs, please let me welcome Liz Dennis and John Pulio as members of this committee. Congratulations. I guess I will save the rest of my report for the topical committees because I don't see the elected that was going to join me here. Okay, so that being said, the chair's report is finished. Sorry, it was so brief. Not much going on this month. So we'll move on to move the agenda forward to topical committees. The first report will be from Youth Services, Education, and Library.
So folks, good evening. I hope everyone remains safe and sound. And so I'm speaking also on behalf of my fellow co-chair who unfortunately cannot join us. Her work has her in Europe right now. But essentially the big thing was that on a sunny but somewhat briskly windy Wednesday, April 27th, we had our youth conference. And so ultimately, we had, if I remember correctly, over 30 organizations, and ultimately we had about 200 youth who came through. And so, you know, while the attendance was definitely not as big as it had been in years past, as all of us don't need reminding, we're still in a pandemic, and given that last year's was virtual due to many other things, it did feel good just to be outside. Right, it felt good to be outside and to see people interacting with each other. So that felt very good as well. And also, we ended up getting help from people. So there was a guy who was basically renting bikes not too far from the Lafrac Center. So a few of the community members walking by had chatted him up, and then he said, "Hey, I'll take some of these pamphlets, and you know, I can definitely hand them out to people and direct people if they seem lost." So that was very helpful. And, you know, the main thing is just that the community, we care. And for those of us who were there, was definitely like an all hands on deck in terms of whatever anyone needed. We made sure that people got it. So, you know, just a shout out to the amazing CB14 office. Shout out to all the other people who helped in, so many other ways. And so that's the report there, Chairwoman Brown.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank all the board members that were there to help and pitch in, all of the presenters and the attendees, our local elected officials who came by, also the members of the 17th precinct who joined us. Thanks so much. Moving on to—
Chairwoman Brown?
Yes.
Oh, one more thing I forgot is that crossing fingers, my co-chair and I, we are hoping to have a June meeting. Chances are this June meeting would take place after the board meeting. And so, we're trying to see if we can schedule a June one. And if we're able to do that, one of the items on the agenda would be just to kind of debrief some of our thoughts from that, but just a heads up for folks as well too. Meeting hasn't been set, but we're thinking of having one in June.
And may I jump in with some additional thanks before we move on? Thank you. I just want to mention Kopo and Mo Razvi, who's just always there when asked, because they were one of the big financial supporters of the event covering the tables and chairs and tech specifically, but also just there as a good community partner. And we did have a number of community members who stepped up to the plate, but also back at you, Mr. Co-Chair, you and Nick, you were great co-chairs of the committee. And I think that if we did serve around 200 youth, and if we didn't have a track record of higher number, if this had been our first one, we probably would have considered that wildly successful, and it was. So, and onward for next year. Thanks for the chance.
Thank you. And again, much thanks to our community partner, Prospect Park Alliance, and special thanks to Councilmember Rita Joseph. I just want to recognize that Shadow Tarver is here representing Assemblymember Cunningham, and Tamara is here representing Councilmember Lewis. Moving on to the Transportation Committee.
Wait, hold on a second. Got my raised, Chairwoman Brown.
Yeah.
On this is Joel Siegel. On the event that was held for the youth. First of all, stating the obvious, it's a really great, nice event, and it's really a credit to the people that do it, to all of you who participate. But I was wondering, perhaps going forward, we could develop some record of, the matches that we make, kids being matched with internships or with jobs, so we can, not just as a feather in our cap, but also as a somewhat of a guide to, how to refine the product. I'm sure there's a lot of great stories out there of kids that got matched. They went on to do this or that or the other, That's it.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I missed your hand. My
That's okay.
was scrolled. I have a hand from Joe Dweck.
Yes, I just wanted to say, there are 76 community boards in the city, 76. We are the only one that does this. This is absolutely unique in the city. It's been unique for the past dozen years that we're doing it. The effect on the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lives is not to be minimized. It's unbelievable. God bless Sean and Anya and Nikki and, of course, Carl and everybody who came before you. You do absolute yeoman's work. God bless you.
Thank you. Carl, you have your hand up. This is your party.
I'm back, but I don't like to crash parties, even my own, without invitation. So, no, all, bad humor aside, Joel, what I would say is that idea that you shared, once we put out the June calendar and then the meeting for the youth services committees on there, if you're able to attend, please do, right? Just because your idea is a fascinating one. And while the agenda hasn't been set, one of the hopes would be that for the agenda items we have, one of the things could be just sharing some notes in terms of how that went and, your idea. And there are other community members who probably have either similar or different ideas as well about, what some future iterations could look like.
Happy to do so. I'm sure there's some great stories to tell. That would be a feather, big feather in your cap.
We do. They all involve the wind blowing away our directions after we carefully tape them on the wall. But that's for another time.
We can take one more question from Ann Gaudette.
Hi, thank you very much. I think that it was Community Board 17 that was an ally in this regard. And the district, no, the board chair came to show support as well as to see the event. So that made this not only the venue, but that made this equally exciting. So it's nice to collaborate with others. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder that the chair of Community Board 17, Joan Alexander Bakradine, did come by and made her way around and spend some time with me. And it was really good to have her there. Thank you.
And we did have outreach assistance from Community Board 9, which helped a lot too.
All right, third time's a charm. Report from Transportation Committee, please.
Sure, always happy to make way for all those good vibes from the youth conference. So let's see, we had a much smaller meeting on May 4th than the youth conference. We had 3 DOT presentations and 2 bits of new business. So Steve and I are going to do tag team. I'll on the DOT presentations and he'll take the last 2 issues. The first presentation was on the Open Streets program. I went through the nuts and bolts of it, its history, procedures to apply, funding opportunities, the types, of which there are now 3, with full closure, limited access, or school closure. Then basically there were a few questions that I just wanted to highlight because I think it brought up some interesting issues. The first is, it turns out there are more application requirements for 2022 than there had been previously. For example, if you're a new applicant, you now need 3 letters of support, preferably from electeds, your community board, some other stakeholder. So they're getting a little more stringent. On the plus side, the community board will now get 30 days to weigh in on applications. And as Sean pointed out, that's really valuable because she'd seen instances where like a film crew showed up and at the same time there's an open streets program and it made for a conflict. And for those of you who may still be thinking about applying, there is now a 60 to 90-day delay. So any applications for open streets now would necessarily be for probably August. So you just have like 1 more month and then we're pretty much, into September. Second presentation was on the Church Avenue bus lanes, which were a hot topic and have been for quite a while since they were installed in October of 2019. They reported the B35 is Brooklyn's 3rd busiest line, and it served pre-COVID 45,000 people per day. So before they put in the bus lanes, the average speed of the bus was 4 1/4 miles per hour. And that rated us as amongst the worst. Then they added the bus lanes. They also added meter parking on side streets, and they changed a number of parking and traffic regulations additionally, including 15-minute parking zones. It used to be 1-hour zones. The results, they compared October to 2019 from October of 2021. And there are 2 stretches. There's the East 7th Street to Marlborough Road stretch where they actually have the bus lanes. And on the eastbound route, the speeds improved by 6 to 13%. And on the westbound routes, they improved by 8 to 24%. A close read of their graph basically indicates 13% is the improvement sweet spot. So if I'm not wrong, that means the average speed increased from 4.25 miles per hour to 4.8 miles per hour. So I asked them, is that a typical improvement for the bus lanes? And they said yes, that that's what they expect as, for the dramatic change that it makes, it just goes from 4 1/4 to 4.8 miles per hour. From Marlborough to Flatbush, which is the second half of the strip where they changed the regulations, it actually got slower. There was no increase whatsoever. We asked why, and in actuality, they said, we just don't know why. But for that entire other strip, it got slower. So the next test, fortunately, is this month. So they did tell us that they'd be getting back to us at the end of the month, or I suppose June, with the results of the test from now. So that'll give us at least some more data. There were a number of very good questions for DOT. I think Steve, my co-chair, had recommended removing the regs for Saturday, having been out there, and that his anecdotal evidence was Saturday is just not really a problem, and perhaps they would have the Saturday regs to be the same as the current Sunday regs. Then there was a question about what were the speeds for the cars from October 2019 to October 21. They said they had not checked that, but would be getting back to us hopefully with that information. Then there were questions, I think Ann Godet had asked about what the effects on merchants had been. I think Glenn had also asked about that. And the results were indeterminate, I would say, and I would like more information. I think the community would like as well on what the effect had been on the merchants. And then the last issue, of course, is the double parking all along the strip. And there's really no answer for that. And basically, we encourage DOT to just basically have their designers collaborate more with like NYPD traffic so that, you know, their plans don't come out of the void off their, you know, drawing boards and all of a sudden get thrown haywire because of the reality of double parking. So then our third and last DOT presentation was from the Director of Urban Design. They manage sort of street lighting, street furniture, sidewalks, and mainly discussion was how DOT projects interact with the streetscape. Of interest is that the DOT Street Design Manual, which can be located on their site, basically dictates all of their guidelines. So if you ever have a question about, you know, street lights or street furniture or, you know, how the curb strips should appear, it's all in their design manual. So the talk mainly focused on nuts and bolts. And then Sean asked a very good question about the open restaurants program, because DOT is actually the agency which is administering that. And she had asked, how is DOT going to make these decisions as to who and or what programs get to use what streets, what sidewalks, at what times, since in many cases it's giving away a public asset for private good. So that's it from me. I'll hand it over to Steve. Take it away.
Thanks, Barton. I'll summarize the end of the meeting. There were some things worth mentioning, and also a letter proposal that we wanted to put before the board that's related to the one of the items. So first, Rona Taylor of East Flatbush Community Development Corporation and Theodora from Perch Advisors gave a 3-minute presentation at the end of the Transportation Committee meeting, reporting based on what was said during that presentation, along with some follow-up notes provided by the presenters in response to some questions that were posed. So basically, a company called Dollar Ride, founded in 2018, is looking to get fully electric vans available in the outer boroughs as dollar vans. So they'd be used locally. The intention is that they'd be used on Flatbush Avenue and Utica Avenue. Dollar Ride would use a vendor that would modify, I guess, gas-powered vans to make them electric. I was told Ford E450s and GM 4500 are the models that they'd be looking at. They're looking at a battery range of about 130 miles. They're hoping to deploy the first 30 electric vehicles around the first quarter of 2023, or within 6 to 9 months of winning a grant. The plan is to install electric charging stations that the vans would use overnight, but would be available for the community and businesses to use during the day. There weren't a lot of specifics. They're working on a proposal to NYSERDA that'll determine funding, and specifics would get fleshed out thereafter. But they did want to come present to us primarily because they wanted to get feedback regarding dollar vans from the local public. So they have a survey that I'll post the link to in the chat. They're also hosting a virtual town hall on May 16th at 10 a.m. I'll post that link in the chat. And there's an in-person town hall on May 19th at 6:30 p.m. at Brooklyn Commons at 495 Flatbush Avenue. I'll add that information in the chat as well when I'm done speaking. They said they'd like to come back to the committee at a later date for a more formal presentation, and ultimately they'd be looking for support from the community board for the project. All right, the next item that Barton actually addressed thereafter at the meeting was there was a presentation given earlier that afternoon on May 4th regarding the Interborough Express, or IBX for short. Barton, myself, Joanne, and Sean all attended. There wasn't too much information provided if you've been following along media reports or what's been posted on the Community Board 14 website about the concept. But for those who don't know, the IBX is being proposed for the 14-mile freight line from Bay Ridge to Jackson Heights. I think a few years ago, members of CB14 were invited to tour that freight line, and so some folks might be familiar with it from that. The MTA emphasized the planning for the IBX is at the 1 yard line. So, you know, we're a long way away from seeing this become a reality. They emphasized that throughout the presentation. The MTA predicts that 80,000 riders would use it every weekday if ultimately implemented. They did mention that in early reports, I know there was talk about potentially the line continuing up to the Bronx, because I guess there's a freight line that goes all the way up to the Bronx. But they apparently, and the MTA explored the feasibility of that, and it's just not doable as a commuter option per se. The IBX can potentially connect up to 17 subway lines in the Long Island Railroad. They're currently in the process of evaluating subway connections, and nothing's promised, but it's worth noting for our community's purpose that the route would come close to the Brooklyn College 25 and the Avenue HQ. Possibilities for the route would include light rail, conventional rail, or a dedicated city bus route. They're in the process of evaluating which may be most feasible, but those are the current possibilities. There may be issues with vertical or horizontal restrictions at certain parts of the route, and that's being studied. Check out the IBX page on the CB14 website if you want more information on the feasibility study. The MTA is going to hold a virtual town hall on Tuesday, May 19th at 6 p.m. So if you're interested, you can sign up for that. I will post the live stream feed and a link to post questions to the chat when I'm done speaking. So the last thing I wanted to mention was in connection with the Interborough Express proposal. The MTA actually asked Community Board 14 to provide a letter of support to secure federal funding to continue with the feasibility study. The request for support came the day after we held our committee meeting, so we didn't have an opportunity to get approval from the committee. But the MTA wants the letter of support by the end of the week. So we worked on a letter draft. I'll read it very quickly, and we're looking for the board to approve. So it will be addressed to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and it reads, we are writing today in support of the MTA application for USDOT mega grant funding to continue to explore the feasibility of the Interborough Express project. Mega grant funding will allow MTA to complete the environmental review process and the preliminary engineering proposal for the Interborough Express project. We offer this support with the understanding that MTA will continue to engage with affected community boards such as ours and with surrounding community members directly to explore the potential for these significant transportation benefits while balancing them with local impacts and environmental implications. The Interborough Express project has been identified by the state of New York as a priority that could provide generational investment in regional mobility for New Yorkers. The project would offer enhanced mobility connections to commuters across the New York City area, including those who live in our community district, who often rely on Manhattan-centric public transportation to travel within or between Brooklyn and Queens by connecting to up to 17 of New York City's 22 subway lines on the Long Island Railroad. This would significantly improve access to jobs, schools, and other services. The Interborough Express would also advance environmental outcomes by ensuring that New York City remains one of the least carbon-intensive cities in the country. The Interborough Express project would bring this otherwise underutilized corridor, which partially runs through our community district, into a state of good repair and accommodate the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey's future freight mobility project along the corridor. Altogether, these project improvements will contribute to expanded economic growth. Advancing a project of this magnitude cannot be fully explored without federal funding. While community engagement and due consideration must be a significant part of this process, if ultimately brought to fruition, the Interborough Express project has the potential to offer substantial economic, social, and environmental benefits to New York City and Community District 14 residents and commuters. We urge you to give it all due consideration in the form of mega grant funding. Thank you for your consideration of this important project, and please don't hesitate to contact Community Board 14 should you have any questions. So that's the letter that we worked on, and hoping the board can vote on it hopefully today. Thank you.
There's some hands in the chat. I'm not sure if you wanted to call on people. We can start with Greg Alvarez. I'll let you decide after. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, thank you. Just a quick question, Stephen. What do you know who owns the right of way? Like, who has control of it? Is it sort of a consortium of different organizations, or is it owned by a particular entity?
My recollection is that there's like 2 different entities that are on the freight line. I don't know if anyone else recalls specific to jump in, but that was my recollection. I could try to quickly look it up and post in the chat.
We have it. We interact with New York Atlantic Rail Line. Is that the full name? Anya talks to them a lot.
Yeah, the New York Atlantic Railway, it's Anacostia is the contractor, and they had a 20-year contract through Long Island Railroad.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Post a link.
Questions from Ann Godet. You're muted, Ann.
Oops, sorry. Is that better? Thank you very much, Joanne and Stephen. That's a great letter. Does it say in there explicitly that we support this?
It says we support the application for funding. It doesn't say we ultimately support the project. That seems a bit premature given its early stage, but we're supporting the funding for continuing to explore the feasibility of the project.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions about the letter? Okay, so just to reiterate, the letter supports funding for continued research into the feasibility of the project, not necessarily the project itself. So I wanted to go ahead and get a vote from the board whether this is the letter that, approval of this letter. Go in the reverse order. Does anyone not approve the letter of support of feasibility? Does anyone wish to abstain from voting? Is anyone ineligible to vote? Okay, seeing none. Sorry, I forgot to put a motion on the table. Is there a motion? And I'll just do it again.
Motion, Yehuda Eckstein.
Thank you.
Second, Smith.
Thank you very much. And I'm assuming the votes will remain the same. So unanimously, the letter passes. Thank you very much, everyone. Was there anything left to your report?
I just wanted to say one thing about the IBX meeting, which is the 4 of us from CB14 were in attendance. And I think we made up maybe even a third or a quarter of everybody who was there from all of the other community boards which have been invited. So I'd like to think that in the future, CB14 has raised our profile in the eyes of all of the responsible parties, and they'll probably be coming to us, pretty quickly when they see anything coming down the pike that might affect us. So just wanted to say we had somebody to be proud of that day. That's it. Thanks all.
Thank you very much, Bart and Steve, for your report. Just let me recognize that Pincus Heiken is here from Comptroller Lounder's office. And I also want to recognize that Councilmember Rita Joseph is on the line. Welcome, Councilmember. Did you want to address this assembly?
Oh, no, I was just stopping by to say hello to everyone to see how we're doing. I'll be talking a little bit later on the African burial ground.
Thank you. Moving on to next topical committee, which is Community, Environment, Cultural Affairs, and Economic Development.
Okay, we're having a meeting this coming Monday at 6:30 online, and the participants are going to be the Flatbush Downstream Junction bid, FTC, and the Cortelia Road Merchants Association. And they're going to be talking about what they do, what benefits they provide, and how we can interact with them. After the meeting, of course, we'll update you on what happened. That's it.
Thank you very much. Next report from Community Safety, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you on behalf of our my co-chair, Mr. Abe Truff, and I. We would like to invite you on the 24th of this month to our meeting where you'll be introduced to our Deputy Inspector Bruce Separano, who already introduced himself, but he'll go into details, and then you can liaise with him. So that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next report is from Housing and Land Use, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm Talisha Sainville, and my co-chair on the Housing and Land Use Committee is Gregory Alvarez, who's here with us this evening. Our committee skipped the May meeting, but we've been doing some work in the background along with Sean Campbell and Chair Brown to bring you some useful updates on how the community can be more involved in the development of our district. So please stay tuned and be on the lookout for our next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the last committee, which is Human Services, please.
Hi, good evening. We haven't had a meeting in a while, but I do some other extracurricular activities and just thought that I would, if it's okay with you, Joanne, and with Sean, if I just give over some of these things, because I think that they are important to know about. I've been trying to tune in to the Brooklyn SWAB meetings when I can, and their last meeting was on May 2nd. And two things that I think are important to know about that were discussed there. One is a program called Paint Care, spelled just the way, paint like ball paint and care, C-A-R-E. And this is a program, many of us find ourselves with half-used containers of paint, and then we don't know what to do with it. It should not be flushed down the sink or the toilet or dumped out on the street because it does pollute the environment and it gets into the water system. So for latex paints only, water-based paints only, there is a program where you can bring these partially used containers that are past their use by date and you no longer need. Sherwin-Williams is one paint store that is taking back these cans. The paint doesn't have to come from them. Hopefully there will be more, but you can, Google Paint Care and find out more about the program. So that was really interesting. The other thing that came up was a concern about plastic use in public school cafeterias. Really, it should apply to all school cafeterias. Plastic leaches into our systems, especially when used with anything hot. So if you're using hot, foods and you're using plastic containers and utensils and so forth, you're exposing yourself to various toxins. And this is especially problematic for children. So there is an organization, it's called Cafeteria Culture, and they have a lot more information about this. So especially if you're a parent and you have kids in school and you want to get involved in reducing plastic use, not only for the environmental reasons for reducing plastic use, but also for health reasons, go to cafeteriaculture.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Useful information. I just want to recognize Ellie Slavin here representing Congresswoman Clark. Thank you for being here. That concludes topical committees. I'm going to move on to our ad hoc committee, which is the CB14 African course. A few notes about that. On April 21st, the task force met. preliminary meeting, we had a community discussion about the history of the parcel and previous activities to gather community feedback. We are looking forward to future meetings where we can learn more about how parcels such as this are and were memorialized. The purpose of the task force is to facilitate city, agency, and community input to promote district-wide public participation and feedback in the future of these sacred grounds, and to network with academia and cultural organizations who are knowledgeable in history and preservation of such sites. I'm so pleased to announce that the task force will be co-chaired by board members Talisha Sainville and Joanne Joseph, both very insightful and smart people. Thank you for leading this important endeavor. Council member Rita Joseph is here to also speak about the African burial ground. Whenever you're ready, council member.
Computer's been acting up all morning so far. Forgive me for not having my camera on. I've been doing a lot of tech support, but it's not working. Thank you, John, for recognizing me. Thank you, everyone. My name is Rita Joseph. I'm your council member for the 40th Council District. I know we talked about this last time. I know we have shared goals. I want to see this currently empty lot and abandoned space transform into a beautiful, clean area in our neighborhood. I've heard a lot of the suggestions in the meetings that I've been in and how we want to start moving forward to use the city space. I'm an advocate for you in city government, and I will do my best to work with my colleagues in the city, agencies to see what we will do with the space. And I will always be honest, transparent when I report back to discussion limits of project, whether what's feasible and how much it's going to cost us, because we also have to build in the cost as well. I promise that I'll really fight to see something amazing. That's what I want. Whatever the community wants is what I want to support. To see something amazing on this land with historical value, which has a lot of our communities. Our office is actively engaging with all stakeholders, our colleagues in government, non-for-profit community boards. We're making sure that we are centralizing the conversation in one place so that everyone can hear updates about this lot and talk about it together. So I'm very proud to partner with Community Board 14. Thank you so much, Sean Campbell. And I look forward to working and transforming this space in the best way possible. And I look forward to working closely with the co-chairs of the task force. And of course, I will now turn it over to Community Board 14. See if you need to reach my team, you know how to reach me. It's Rita Joseph at Council NYC GOV, and Joel, who's on the call, can also drop his email address in the chat, or my Deputy Chief of Staff, who also does my legislation and budget, which is Connor Irving. So I'm here as your servant to listen and to learn and see how we can turn this amazing space into what the community would like. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here today and all of your efforts. We are so extremely proud to be partnering with you and working with you on this important piece of our district. Thank you again for being here tonight. I just wanted to ask the assembly if there were any questions. If not, I'm going to move into the public session. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Moving on to the public session. This brings us to our public comment period. Board members are expected to remain for the public period. Because we're meeting remotely, all speakers were asked to register via email to the board office. Any member of the public who was not able to register in time can follow up directly with the board and the staff, who will include appropriate announcements on the CB14 website. Matters of civic interest and announcements of public events are invited. No partisan political appeals or advertising of for-profit entities are permitted. Delivery requests should be brought to the attention of the staff by email or during regular business hours. Each speaker will be permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not receive additional time from another speaker. The board has an obligation to conduct its business in an orderly manner. Any person preventing the meeting from continuing will be muted and possibly disconnected from the meeting. The intent of the public comment period is to permit the board a chance to hear diverse perspectives on public issues. Accordingly, we ask that groups be represented by a single speaker. It is now 7:52. Anya Hoyer will be announcing our previously speakers at this time. Thank you, Anya.
Good evening, everyone. Our first speaker will be Rona Taylor from East Flatbush CDC. Go ahead, Rona.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to come on and say hello. Steve Cohen actually did a very an incredible job of talking about what we had hoped to speak about during the public comment section. So thank you so much, Steve. And I hope that people will take time to fill out our survey. It is a 5-minute survey for the Electrify Brooklyn initiative around the electric van. So I hope that you all will take the time to do that. Your feedback is very important to us so that we can have the voice of the community with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our second registered speaker is Nancy Lulu from the Brooklyn DA's office. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you, Anya. Good evening, Community Board 14 and all attendees. I bring greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. I have a few announcements. Tomorrow, May 10th, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, in collaboration with Councilwoman Alexis Avielis, will be holding an identity theft and fraud prevention workshop at PS 94's auditorium at 5010 6th Avenue, Brooklyn at 6 p.m. Even though it's not within your district, but feel free to come and learn how to protect your personal information through a presentation by the District Attorney's Office. Also, the Brooklyn DA's office, in collaboration with the NYPD, will be holding a gun buyback event with no questions asked on Saturday, May 21st at Emmanuel Baptist Church, located at 279 Lafayette Avenue, Brooklyn, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Receive a $200 bank card with an iPad for operable handguns and assault rifles, and that will be held in Clinton Hill. Also, in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the Brooklyn DA's office will be holding an Asian and Pacific Islanders celebration in Brooklyn Heights as we celebrate generations of Asian and Pacific Islanders who have enriched our communities. The event will be held on Tuesday, May 24th at 5:30 at the Brooklyn Bar Association, located at 123 Remsen Street. Please RSVP for that event. I've shared those flyers with the community board as well as with the 7-0 precinct. If anyone wants more information, please feel free to reach out to them or to myself. Also, I urge you to visit the Brooklyn DA's website and social media platforms to read about our latest press releases and updates. And finally, if you have anything that you would like to address with our office, to call the Action Center at 718-250-2340. And as always, thank you to Community Board 14 for everything that you do. And just on a side note, our office did come out to the youth conference. I believe we had two staff members who were out there providing some resources at the conference. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nancy, and thank you for your participation at the youth conference. Our third speaker is William Lunis from the Brooklyn Public Library, Kensington branch. Go ahead, William.
Hi, thank you, Anya. And good evening, everybody, and thank you for allowing me a couple of minutes. This was a very informative meeting so far. Thank you so much. On May 3rd, the library reinstated its mask mandate. This is for all patrons and staff, and this was in response to the city raising its COVID risk level from green to yellow. We hope that the mask mandate will be rescinded as soon as the level goes back to green. Hopefully it won't be too long. The good news is that the library services were not affected by this mask mandate. BPL is still open for browsing, for sitting, using computers, borrowing books, library cards, everything that we do, including programming. We begun a couple of months ago doing in-person programming, which includes computer classes, school visits, movies, craft programs, so that still continues. We are still doing virtual programs as well. So pandemic taught us we can do both. Summer reading will begin on June 4th, and all libraries will be participating, and there will be fun activities for all ages. So we welcome all families to come out. And the programming will continue all summer long. And part of summer reading will also include the library participating once again in the DOE Summer Meals. This will be the first time since 2019 that we will be participating again in summer meals. So it's pretty exciting. And Kensington will be participating once again in this program. So, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, William. Our next speaker is Sabrina DeJuice from Councilmember Lewis's office. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, I see your heads nodding, so great. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you all. For those who are new to the board, my name is Sabrina DeJuice. I am the constituent and community liaison for Councilmember Farrah Lewis, who represents District 45. That includes Flatbush, East Flatbush, Midwood, Kensington, Marine Park, and a bit of Canarsie. So just some updates from the council member. So just as you are most likely aware, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So in respect to that, we will be hosting our official first bystander training this upcoming month. All the details will be shared with the community board very soon after this meeting. We'll be hosting 4 in total, so 2 in May and 2 in June. These are bystander intervention trainings. Focus on mental health, sexual assault, gender-based violence, hate crimes, various topics that have hit our community very hard. In addition to, we will be participating in a walkthrough of the new shelter opening up at 1 Kenilworth Place with NYPD, the Community Board Senator Parker's office, and Assemblymember Bishat Herman's office on May 17th. And last but not least, we'll be hosting Daddy and Me Dance on May 14th at 2 p.m. at Tanger Halil at Brooklyn College. And I'll share the RSVP link and all the information about the event in the chat. We hope that everyone can join us on that special afternoon. Daddy and Me Dance is an opportunity for students to bring someone who they identify as a father figure in their life, and acknowledge, bring recognition and award them for all the work that they've done and how they've impacted their lives. So for those who unfortunately cannot find someone that they identify as a father figure, we have officers on standby to escort those students and give them a moment, an evening of fun. But that's really it. We offer services, immigration and housing, immigration on Tuesdays and housing on Wednesdays, and all this information will be incorporated in the chat.
Thanks, Sabrina. Next, we have Eileen Mullaney-Newman from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. Go ahead, Eileen.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We have some upcoming events, Haitian flag raising, which we're working with Councilmember Narcisse, Joseph, Jose, and Farrah Lewis's office. And that will be on May 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Borough Hall. And we will be doing an AAPI event on May 26th, starting at 6 p.m. also. That is coming together now, so we'll have information about that through our social media channels also. We are filling up our dance card for June with Caribbean Heritage events. And again, that is being put together, and we'll be blasting that out on our social media channels. And otherwise, I'm here for any questions if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, Eileen. Next, we have 2 speakers, David Lewis and Anastasia Yaskova from the Mayor's Office.
Good evening, everyone. Anna will not be on. I'll be representing the Mayor's Office this evening. My name is David Lewis. I'm Deputy Commissioner over at the Mayor's Office, Community Affairs Unit. Happy Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to all the members of our AAPI community, and happy Jewish American Heritage Month to the Jewish community. I'll be quick with a few updates. The first one is that today Mayor Adams and School's Chancellor Banks joined union leaders, and they were joined by union leaders In support of mayoral accountability for New York City schools, the mayor announced a bold agenda for schools that includes expanding opportunities for summer learning, a renewed focus on literacy, screening and early interventions for dyslexia, and providing every student with a pathway to a good paying career. If the state does not take action by June 30th, control of city schools would revert back to the decentralized system of the 32 school boards that existed prior to 2022. Earlier last week, Mayor Adams pushed to suspend the liquor license surcharge. So he's backing a newly introduced bill by council members Keith Powers and Justin Brannan. This introduced bill would suspend the city's liquor license surcharge and put money back into the pockets of small business owners. And I just wanted to go over a couple of new appointments that were also announced earlier last week. Anthony Miranda has been announced as the New York City Sheriff. Eric Ulrich is now the Department of Buildings Commissioner, and Casimir Valenchik is the first Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Buildings. Sadia Sherman has been appointed Commissioner to the newly created Mayor's Office of Equity. This will bring city agencies together around a shared vision of equity and build long-lasting change. It's comprised of the Commission on Gender Equity, the Young Men's Initiative, Unity Project, Racial Justice Commission, Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity, and the Pay Equity Cabinet. David Doe was also announced as the Taxi and Limousine Commissioner and Chair. And lastly, Jessica Tisch was announced as the Department of Sanitation Commissioner. And just to flag to everyone that alternate side parking will be fully restored, and it will be fully restored beginning July 5th of this year. So again, alternate side parking will be fully restored. I know that during the pandemic, it was only alternate side parking was allowed only on 1 day a week if you had 2 days. So it'd be on the last day of the week, but that'll no longer happen. It'll be both days now if you had them as both days on your street. Thank you so much. If you ever need to reach out to me, my number is 646-385-0293, 646-385-0293. And my email address is dlouis2@cityhall.nyc.gov. I also put my information in chat. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, David. Do we have Gabriel Jameson from Center for NYC Neighborhoods on the line? I think Gabriel jumped off. So next we have Jahi Rose from the NYC Civilian Complaint Review Board. Go ahead, Jahi.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I am Jahai Rose from the Civilian Complaint Review Board. I go by he, him pronouns. I just wanted to introduce myself. I haven't been to this community board in a very long time. As you know, the CCRB is a city agency separate from the NYPD. Our responsibility is to investigate complaints of use of force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. We are back to doing in-person back to in-person board meetings. So our board meetings are taking place every second Tuesday of the month at the 100 Church Street CCRB headquarters location on the 10th floor. The invitation was sent to the community board. So please, if you could share that with the community, just let them know we're going to be meeting at 4 o'clock this coming Wednesday. And we definitely love to hear the input of those of the community about police and community relations. We're also doing in-person presentations. We would definitely love to connect with any organization that wants to hear more about the process for police accountability in the city of New York. Youth, adults, seniors, we want to talk to all of you. So please, if you have events, and feel free to invite us. I left my information in the chat, and we would definitely love to work with all of you. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thank you, Jahai. Next, we have Audrey Biggs from All in One Collective. Go ahead, Audrey.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet all of you, and thank you for hosting this lovely meeting. I just wanted to make an announcement. This is another survey-related announcement, apologies. But my group, my organization is looking into turning the vacant church that is at 494 East 23rd Street, that's on 23rd and Foster Avenue, into a community facility, community center, specifically for the arts, nonprofits, social impact. So what we're working on right now is just spreading the word and trying to get feedback from the local community. So I figured this might be the right pipeline to start doing that initiative. If not, feel free to redirect me. But I just wanted to come on here and meet all of you. I think we're really interested in making use of this beautiful old space and rehabbing it to to support some great initiatives and services for Flatbush, for Ditmas Park, for Kensington, for surrounding areas. And I know, Anya, we actually have reached out to you and spoken to you lately about this, but so we do have a survey if anyone is willing to fill that out, or alternatively, I can also post our email if you'd like to contact us and have any ideas, feedback on what you'd like to see in this space. So thank you. Oh, and also great job at the youth event. We were at the youth event, and that was a wonderful time as well with KDO's from Soul Food for the People, who is also going to be our food pantry partner in the space as well. So nice to meet everyone, and thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you, Audrey, and thanks for joining us at the Youth Conference. We have one more registered speaker. Ellie Slavin is on the line. Ellie, would you like to speak this evening?
Yes, just quickly, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Okay, great. Go ahead right now. We have a final speaker.
Good evening, everybody. We are back open for business, of course, with precautions. We're at 222 Lennox Road. Our office is very busy with immigration, passports, SBA loans, and I put the website on the chat, which is clark.house.gov. For instance, there's now in Congress, in the House, 27, I think even 30 items on the table. So please do go onto our chat, our website, and you can reply to it. You can ask questions. All the information is there. Our number is 718-287-1142. Please, if you know anybody has federal issues, we are here to serve. Our office is also, I'll be in touch with the office of Rita Joseph regarding the burial grounds, and see on what level, as in the federal level, we can be of assistance. So everybody have a good night, and thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you, Ellie. Shadow Tarver was also a registered speaker, our final speaker from Assembly Member Brian Cunningham's office, but I don't believe he's on the line. Just one moment. Is Shadow Tarver with us? Okay, great. Chair Brown, I believe all of our pre-registered speakers had the opportunity to speak.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, 1 second. Anya, thank you so much for moderating the public comment period. I did notice that Mr. Nixon Pierre is on the line. He is from Children's Rescue Fund. He is the program director from One Kenilworth Place. I just wanted to recognize him and, give him an opportunity to say hi or give us, a short bit of news if he wanted to. Otherwise, I will adjourn the public session.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bridget Roberts. I'm from Coney Island Hospital. I believe I was registered, but it doesn't sound that way. By any chance, can I still report?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much for accommodating me. I really appreciate it. So again, my name is Bridget Roberts. I am the Director for Strategic Initiatives and Public Affairs at Coney Island Hospital, and I just wanted to provide CB14 an update on the campus transition that's happening at Coney Island Hospital. So in the fall of this year, Coney Island Hospital will have a new name, and so our campus name will be South Brooklyn Health. And the new hospital that we're building on Ocean Parkway and Avenue Z will be known as the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital. So let me just give you a little background on what's happening there. So Coney Island Hospital's catchment area has approximately 875,000 lives, which includes racially and ethnically diverse communities in South Brooklyn. As we continue to build a brand new 11-story inpatient hospital due to open in the fall of 2022 and develop plans to invest in ambulatory care, we have a unique opportunity to rebrand and reposition the hospital. We want to become the healthcare provider of choice for patients and residents of South Brooklyn Health. In July 2021, the New York City Health and Hospitals Board of Directors approved the renaming of our hospital campus as New York City Health and Hospitals South Brooklyn Health and our new inpatient hospital as the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital. The name South Brooklyn Health allows us to proudly acknowledge our closest neighbors and welcome through our doors the broader communities for whom we provide care and ultimately hope to serve. Naming our new inpatient hospital after the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice is in keeping with Health and Hospitals' vision to be a fully integrated, equitable health system that enables all New Yorkers to live their healthiest lives. Justice Ginsburg stood for truth, equality, and justice, and she gave voice to the voiceless. Her example will challenge us to ensure that the new South Brooklyn Health and its Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital will be the healthcare provider of choice for all people from all communities and backgrounds in the South Brooklyn area. The Health and Wellness Institute, which is currently the main building, will remain the location of our ambulatory care services. The name changes will become effective in fall 2022 when the new hospital building officially opens. The campus transition is a multi-year process. There will be something for everyone. So what's included in the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital that will open in the fall? We'll have an expanded emergency department, state-of-the-art operating rooms and an endoscopy suite, inpatient dialysis, 80 private medical surgical beds, 60 behavioral health beds, radiology, laboratory, and visitor parking. In terms of our investment in ambulatory care, we are conducting a comprehensive master plan for the main building over the course of the next 3 years. We will renovate 26,000 square feet of first floor space to include 50 exam rooms to be used for primary care, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, among other specialties. We received $17 million in capital funding from the Borough President, City Council, and the administration last year to build out this brand new ambulatory care practice. We will also create a comprehensive dental practice on the 5th floor. We will develop outpatient radiology with installation of new CT scanner and renovated ultrasounds on our 5th floor. And we will construct new space to relocate outpatient behavioral health services on our 3rd floor.
I'm sorry
The
to
next
interrupt, but
phase-
as the timekeeper,
Okay.
you've hit your limit. If you would like to wrap up, please. It was
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. We just wanted to share with you that new and exciting things are happening for what will be South Brooklyn Health and its Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital in the fall of 2022.
Thank you very much. And this sounds like a perfect presentation for our Human Services Committee in September, which would just along with your opening. Thank you very much for coming here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And so I just wanted to address that Nixon Pierre was here. Did you want to say a few words?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Just short and brief. I'm thankful to be on this meeting, listening to all the things, especially I like what Ms. Banks indicated concerning the location on 23rd Street. Hopefully that goes well and we can be part of that. However, we are looking forward to May 17th to the walkthrough. That's all, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This concludes the published session at 8:16. We can go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Second.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 8:16. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, and have a wonderful week. Thanks.
Thank you all. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you much.
Thank
Have a
you,
good night.
Anya.
Bye now.
Sean, thanks, yeah.
Coverage of over 96% of interstate highways. It becomes 4 times